have a contractor or a valid possible contract available.
Well, what happens if that
I
date
assume
comes
we would
and goes?
rebid the project and it possibly will come in higher.
Is it also possible it could come in lower?
I would guess not, because a lot of your contractors are already busy. They seek work so they can have something to do in the wintertime to keep their employees busy, and most of them already have projects. I would think you would possibly risk the possibility of the Davis-Bacon Act going up as well. That's my 2 cents. But I mean, if you want to take a break and I try to contact one, I'd be more than happy to.
And Mr. Thomas, I would also like to add that when we first bid this project out, we were expecting about 12 respondents. 14 respondents.
You had 14 in the pre-bid?
14 to...
At the pre-bid, you had 14?
We had 14. We posted the project on a planned service site called Blue Book. We had 14 contractors express interest in bidding on the project. We only had 3 contractors come to the pre-bid, and we ended up 5 actually bidding the project. So actually fairly low participation, low interest in the project.
And one of those 5 pulled out, or asked that their bid not be considered.
That's correct. Yes.
And the other 4 bids were all within $400,000.
That's correct.
Which tells us
it tells me something. It tells me something different than what it tells you, but it sure tells me something. But okay, go ahead. Tell me what it tells you.
that it was a well-designed school, and the RFP was accurate.
It also tells us that the bidding was extremely competitive, that everyone viewed the contract documents in the same way. There wasn't any large questions or gaps in the documents that would lead one contractor to have, who's willing to take a risk, to have a distinct advantage over another. If you see a project that's bidding and it has a $600,000 swing in between the 2 low bidders, then there's a good indication there's a major error in the contract documents, and that will allow that contractor to come back at a later date and get a substantial change order at above market rates to recover his costs. So it's all about risk and how much risk the contractors are willing to assume to go through that process.
Yeah, let me say this a different way.
I know where you're going with that.
4 bids came within 3% of each other. 4 bids came within 3% of each other. On a $12 million project, 4 bids came within 3% of each. I do a lot of bidding.
That's not unusual. I mean, we bid projects every year, and when we see that we have good pricing. When we see the other, we are worried that we have a major mistake in our contract documents.
Okay. Yeah. We are going to agree that it means different things to each other.
I understand.
Without belaboring the point. Okay. Any other comments from the board? Are we ready to make a decision at this point in time, or further deliberation necessary? No.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if we did go to 11-2, we still have to figure out where the funds were going to come from, because that answer we don't have. The only answer we have right now is where the $9 million are.
I mean, that's sure we know where it's coming from. 11-2 is the issue anyhow. Anything over 9 is the issue because we have $9 million. You know, if it's $9 million and more, then we don't have the more, which is, of course, why we're here, talking as much as we can to figure out what we actually have to do. Okay. If you will give us... Well, give me a 10-minute break because I need it. We'll come right back if you want to take a break. We need a 10-minute break. We'll be right back. I'm 50 years old, so excuse me. We're going to reconvene. Excuse the extra time. We were at the point where I think the board had asked several questions. One question which we hadn't gotten clear, and Mr. Jones and I discussed sometime during the break, was the actual application of Davis-Bacon. somebody in the audience that does a lot of public works projects said he thought it was like you. Our county attorney needs to probably investigate that so we can make sure, because like I said, that's a lot of money that we have on the line. And that was one other thing. I think I need to ask Mr. Wright a question before, and let me get in the position to ask you. Mr. Wright, we walked in together, Mr. Wright and I, there was a letter that you said came from the PTA?
It was my understanding it was created by the PTA. That's what I was told. That's hearsay. I have no actual proof.
Okay. I don't know where it came from. I just have a copy of it. But the letter basically says full funding for the new Bowling Green School.
I have no idea. I have not seen a copy myself, sir.
Okay.
It did not come through any school board office or anything. So, the school board office doesn't control what is distributed with the children. It comes from any PTA source. It does if it comes from outside source of soliciting for anything else. It has to be approved by the central office.
Is the PTA allowed to create documents and then send them home with the students?
As far as I know, that's a normal practice. Is that correct?
They are? Okay. Okay. In this document, I was asked to bring out at least a couple of points that are in this letter. And if you haven't seen it, I think Mr. Underwood has one. He was willing to give you mine's electronic copy. But there are a couple of things in there, and one I think that we need to make sure we all understand is that it says specifically the Board of Supervisors has already taken $5 million of our school's funding behind our backs and are currently building a YMCA in Ladysmith Village with those funds. We must band together as a community and fight for the betterment of our county. Okay. I agree with the second part of that statement wholeheartedly, because I always think we should band together for the betterment of our county. But there is no connection between the YMCA funding and school funding. Other than they were done in the same borrowing. We borrowed $5 million for the Y, which will be paid back through proffers. The same time we borrowed the $3 million to fully fund what we thought was the schools. So, and as you said, you had nothing to do with it. I just wanted to make sure that you knew what we had been getting and maybe what some folks in the community had been getting. And we never took any money from the schools for the Y. Okay? And no,
okay, that's fine.
I'm just
possibly they're thinking that maybe some profit money could go towards the school. I don't know what they're thinking. It's okay. First time I've seen this is when I just got it. So.
And I just wanted to make sure.
So,
I mean,
that's
I didn't.
Fine.
Yeah, I didn't say that in the beginning when we were walking in, whether you'd seen it or not. But I'd been given an electronic copy, and I think some other folks have paper copies, and you've got one now. Okay. Anything? Any other questions board members want to ask? Okay. I actually believe that we do not have a decision now. We have just the Davis-Bacon part we need to solidify, and we're going to try to do it on our end. We're going to try to do it on your end, too. I had asked Mr. Parton earlier to contact A.D. Whitaker, and he actually had been in contact with Mr. Whitaker himself today. So we have a little more information there that we'd like to digest. But I don't think we have a decision. And I think it's the consensus of the board that we look at this again at our first meeting in January. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation and your time. All right. Time constraints, we're going to skip supervisors' liaisons unless there's anyone in particular who'd like to make one. Appointments. My social services appointment expires December 31st, and that person has served 2 terms, so they can't serve again, but I will have somebody for our first meeting in January. Consent agenda. Anything to be pulled off the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Seeley?
I would like to pull consent item C.
C? Okay. Anything else? I'm going to pull B, of course. B is going to be Mr. Fincham keeps putting that item on our agenda, and we are actually going to provide access on Route 9078 once we finalize the school plans. So we can do that at a later date.
My real question is it critical that C be approved tonight?
Oh, okay. I just pulled B. So we're at A and D. So motion to approve that as the consent agenda would be in order.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Popowitz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Seeley, questions on item C?
Item C, Mr. Chairman, has a good deal of implication in a lot of areas in terms of a water plan. And I think that this really needs a work session to talk about how we're going to move forward with it instead of just approving a plan be developed without some further input from I think, this board.
That's you, Mr. Schiebel? This is regarding Michael Baker, our contractor, that was going to have some discussion with the folks at AP Hill.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is the task contract to complete the water master plan. We kind of took out the wholesale water purchase option and did that in advance to give us some information of where to go for our water solution. This really ties everything in together and updates our outdated water master plan so that we know how to start moving forward and where we have infrastructure and to better lay out where we're going to be. It's not going to affect the contract at all to move this task contract to the January meeting. To have a work session, if the board wishes, that'd be absolutely fine.
Okay, you sure there's no impact at all?
The only impact is the current schedule, but I mean it doesn't impact anything that we can't amend.
Okay. All right, we can move that to January. That'll take care of the consent agenda. Moves us to what would be normally our public comment section. And at the public comment section, since there are no public hearings today, during the public comment section, anyone who would like to speak regarding any matter that's normally not a public hearing may do so at this session. And we're going to ask if you would like to speak in public comments, because I imagine there's quite a few people here that have something they would like to say. We're going to ask that you have a 3-minute time limit, as we do for our normal public hearings. And if you could address your comments to the chair, which would be me, and not other board members, I would appreciate that. So at this point in time, we will open our public comment section up. You can walk down to the podium. There are 4 seats down in the front that are open and quite a few on another 4 on the other side. So if someone's speaking and you'd like to come down next, I'd appreciate it if you would move forward. So we will declare the public comment section to be open. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Okay. You're first then. Okay. And when you do so, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. When you do come down to speak, please state your name and your voting district only. Okay? Do not tell us your address. Just that's what Mr. Watson does in the back. But just tell us your name, your voting district, and then your 3 minutes will start.
Okay. My name is Melissa Lewis. I'm in the Bowling Green voting district. Good evening, Chairman Thomas and board. I'm here representing some concerned parents of Caroline County. And I would like to say we are not standing here in front of you today to play the blame game. We are not standing here to point fingers. We are not here to manipulate numbers. We are here to stand up for what we believe is the best for the future of our county. We are here to hold the elected officials accountable and ask them to stop talking in circles. Let us please remember the point of the new school. Our community must lead by example and show our children that they must take pride in themselves and what they do as the citizens of Caroline County. We must show them that to do something well and rightly is the only way for it to be done. The legacy we leave to the future of this county is imperative and certainly should not be seen that we sweep things under the rug, cut corners on matters of great importance, and we cannot be seen by our children as supporters of the easy way. How can these same children take significant pride in a school that we do not take pride in building for them, a school that is inadequate? We ask you, members of the board, to hear us out and take into consideration our points to be made. Please vote tonight in favor of the school board's current proposal of a $12.5 million budget to properly build the new Bowling Green Elementary School. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nada Gustard, and I'm in the Mattapani District. Good evening, Chairman Thomas.
Good evening.
And board. We are concerned about our children's safety. We feel the financial squabbling has taken what is most important, our children in an inadequate, safe building, and placed it on a back burner. We understand we are getting a new school approved for 9,800,000 students. Unfortunately, this no longer supports our current needs as a community. We understand that the numbers have changed and what was originally asked for to what is needed now. But we need to move forward, and we urge you to please try and focus on what is best for our community and the children who reside within. Let's be proactive rather than reactive on the Bowling Green Elementary project and build us a fully funded 900-student school that we as a community can take pride in. I'm in support of a fully funded 900-student school with an attached gym and no trailers. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And the next person could just step up.
Do you want copies?
Who usually sits over there? Yes, if you could pass them to Mrs. Hatcher. Thank you.
It's 2 pages each. My name is Sharon Rackenow, and I'm with the Brady Church District. Good evening, Chairman.
Good evening.
I understand that when the county gets businesses to move to the county, this increases the county income. Increased income allows us to have more money for the local government to spend on services that we, the people, desire. I'm thankful that McKesson has moved their operations to our county. That being said, another source of income is from we, the people who live in the county. We pay through local taxes and by the 1% sales tax for items purchased within the county. I know it's only 1%, but that 1% can add up if we can keep people buying within our county. One way to increase income for the county is to have better schools for our children. Caroline County is a great place to live for a couple that works in Richmond and Fredericksburg. It is easily accessible for 95. For years, my husband has worked in Dahlgren and I in Richmond. The location is a selling point for someone who is looking to relocate. Unfortunately, Bowling Green Elementary and the primary are in dire condition. So for someone who wants to look to move to this area, they will be turned off and not even consider a move here. In fact, 2 of my friends are moving from this area to Hanover because this is the case, and this saddens me. This is a loss of revenue for the county, just because the schools are in such a rough shape. We need to be forward-thinking enough that we need to allow our schools to be built with the technologies and the services that other counties offer. If not, we are losing out. Do you think that people will move here to work? Do you think people will move here that work at McKesson? There are other counties that offer better and safer facilities for our children to learn in. I've read through several minutes agendas in trying to prepare my position. And one of the things I came across was the Bowling Green Milford Plan, which was adopted in 2006. In the introduction, it states, it suggests the ways in which we can invest in our community for the future. And most importantly, this plan focuses on specific actions that will help us achieve the future that we desire. I feel that by reading the Bowling Green Milford Plan, that I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. Anyway, that there is an appearance of forward thinking. But
Hold
something.
on 1 second.
I'm sorry.
1 second. Okay, relax, because I'm nervous too. So if we're all nervous, that's not going to be good. So we're both going to relax.
Okay.
You take your time. I've turned the timer off.
Okay, thank you.
Go right ahead.
Anyway, I think that there is an appearance of forward thinking, but something's amiss. According to the United States 2010 census, we've had a growth of 29% in the county since 2000. Knowing this, I'm curious as to why we're approving funding for a school that has trailers attached to it. If we're going to build a school knowing that it is beyond capacity, then we're not planning for our future. We're planning for failure, and failure will cost us much more later. The Bowling Green Milford Plan goes on to state, the purpose of the plan is to provide a guide for the numerous public and private decisions that will create the future community, promote the interests of the community as a whole, enhance, describe, and promote the community's physical development, evaluate short-term actions against long-term goals, and recognize the natural, physical, cultural, and architectural significance of the Bowling Green Milford area so that it can be more effectively preserved, protected, and integrated into an orderly pattern of development. In the introduction of this Bowling Green Milford plan, the goals are stated as, one of the goals says to manage the area's growth and development and to maintain and enhance the area's quality of life. One of the existing weaknesses listed in the Bowling Green Milford plan is the quality of the public schools. One of the great concerns or threats is also the quality of the schools. While we recognize the quality of the school as a concern, we need to be proactive so that we build a quality school, one that will accommodate growth. One of the best ways to be a successful community is to plan for our future. Do not approve something that will be merely putting a Band-Aid on and something that will cost us much more later. I would like your support for a fully funded 900-student school. If not, then I think we need to go back to the drawing board and let's start it again. So we plan correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
I have some also that I'd like to pass out.
Sharon, you did a great job.
Hope you'd be that nice to me. I'm just kidding, Mr.
No.
Thomas. I suspect you would. Thank you very much. Dear members of the board, Mr. Administrator, my name is Les Stanley, and I'm from the Bowling Green District. I'm here this evening to encourage you to fully fund the renovation of Bowling Green Primary School to hold 900 students. Bowling Green Primary and Bowling Green Elementary were built in 1959 and have served this community well. The life expectancy of a school is 50 years, and both of these have surpassed that time frame. When they were built, they were state-of-the-art for their time. Now, both schools need to be replaced. The current plan to renovate Bowling Green Primary to house pre-K through 5 is an extremely viable proposal. Since it is a renovation, there is no additional property that must be purchased, and renovations inherently save money. With full funding, the county will save approximately $10 million over building a new school entirely somewhere else. Also, $6 million has been allocated by the American Recovery Act with 0% interest for renovation of this school. This also is a good deal, but the clock is ticking, and one extension has already been approved. I would hate to see this money lost. Also, the clock is ticking on the low bid to get this project done. Costs will only go up with the passage of time and if rebidding is required. Basically, a new school board will come on board in January. There will be only one incumbent remaining on the school board. I encourage you to take this opportunity to work collegially with the new board to approve full funding for the renovation of Bowling Green Primary.
Hey, Les, what's that word mean?
Collegial, cooperative, professional.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. The teachers and staff of Bowling Green Primary and Elementary do an excellent job. They and the children deserve a safe and up-to-date school to work at and attend. The Bowling Green Milford Community Plan was adopted by the Board of Supervisors on September 26, 2006, as part of the county's comprehensive plan, which was approved in 2010. Mr. Thomas and Mr. Akers, you were both on the Board of Supervisors at that time in 2006. I quote from that plan, "Consideration needs to be given to improvements of the existing school facilities in Bowling Green to provide additional capacity as well as to bring the facilities up to current standards." This is your opportunity to do just that. Please fully fund the Bowling Green Primary renovation, and thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for the extra help. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Rachel Bockert. I'm from the Bowling Green District, and I'm in support of full funding for a 900-student school with an attached gym and no trailers. Let's do this right the first time and build this school to last for another 50 years so that we don't have to spend additional funds in the near future to accommodate the inevitable overflow of students, a potential $8 million in the next 2 years, $8 million in the next 2 years to renovate another school because we did not make Bowling Green Elementary large enough in the first place. We will save money by doing it right the first time. The county will save money spending the additional $3.5 million now versus spending a potential $8 million in the next few years. Lewis and Clark was originally supposed to be the prototype for the new Bowling Green school, as stated in the joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors and the school board, September 17th, 2009. My question to you is, whatever happened to that? This is a huge public safety issue, having our children walking through a parking lot to go to an open gym where anyone can gain access to them. I love where I live. However, the school's infrastructure brings disgrace to this county's reputation. Our children are our future, and in Caroline, that doesn't seem to matter anymore. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we got an email from you, didn't we? Okay. Thank you.
I have some stuff to pass to you all. Okay. My name is Patrick Shiflett. I am from the Port Royal District. And Mr. Chairman and County Supervisors, the use of trailers as a means of educating our children is fraught with disaster. Trailers, when used in school settings, may last 8 to 10 years before major renovations and major problems encounter, both structurally and mechanically. It is also, since they mechanically do not do well, it is unreliable and unhealthy situation for our students. Additionally, they are not designed to withstand the elements of bad weather events such as hurricanes, tornadoes, or not designed to withstand Zone 1 earthquake requirements for this region, which we have experienced an earthquake earlier this year.
Patrick, give me 1 second.
Yes, sir.
You passed us some things that say Melissa
Yes,
Lewis.
it has everybody's collectively. Melissa forgot to pass them out when she came up, so I'm just passing them out for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, we started.
That's okay. A school is designed to withstand all of these failures. Putting our children in harm's way is neither an acceptable practice or practical. They are the future and should be considered and protected from any harm. Spending money on trailers is a losing venture. Investment for all parties involved with the team. Build our fully funded 900-person school for our children to keep it safe and protected from any natural disaster, no matter how small the chance. The risk is too great to our future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm Linnea Woolridge. I'm Bowling Green.
Good evening.
Please consider and try to understand our plight. We as a county care deeply about our children's education. Promises have been made and broken, and years have passed. The issue of a new building that meets our needs has been swept under the carpet, put off, and set aside for too long, as we all know. The issue, though, the real issue, is that these promises have been broken at the expense of public safety and our children's well-being in their learning environment. Existing now are trailers with floors that are spongy enough that there are roped-off areas within the classrooms where the children are not allowed to walk. Obviously, that would mean that the floors are threatening to cave in. Inadequate heating and air systems, shockingly dangerous gymnasium facilities. It is enough to keep me as a parent, I'm certain as a grandparent, anyone living in the county with a child attending these schools, awake at night. We too are tired of the comparison between what the other side of the county has and what we have. But the problem is that the divide is undeniable and it is sobering. Here in this room tonight, my daughters were here. I had to send them home to go to sleep. You've seen the children of Eastern Caroline, home of our county seat, home to my daughter Madeline, who has wondered aloud why the playground at her school is still broken, wonders why she has to wear her coat in her classroom on cold days. Why don't they just turn up the heat, Mommy? On Tuesdays, my daughter has gym class. I drop her off at 8:30 in the morning, and I spend the day terrified until I pick her up at 3:20 in the afternoon that someone could have come into the gym. The issue of school funding has been picked apart and nickel and dimed to death. It has been going on for long enough. These things need to have already changed. Enrolling student numbers have changed, so naturally costs have changed. What we should all want, including you, gentlemen of the board, is a good and safe facility for our children. We don't require the best of everything. We're not asking for show-stopping amenities, not state-of-the-art, just good and safe. My children deserve that. The children who have been here tonight, the children who are at home in their beds tonight, deserve that. Your own friends and family who live in this county deserve that. They deserve to be able to confidently take advantage of what this county should be providing. The time has come for accountability, and in tonight's invocation, all of us prayed together that this board would come to the right decisions and make choices that were what is best for our county. Please hold yourselves accountable for what these children will be able to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Keith, I am now at Bowling Green District. I stand before you once again to show my support for full funding of a 900-student school, free of trailers and with a detached gym. This is a commitment you have made to this county and our children, and I ask that you keep your word. You were able to find funding for projects that you felt were important, and it is now your obligation to find money to protect, find money for the project that the community believes is important. I will continue to advocate for our children's best interests, and I will not back down. And in addition to what's on this paper, if you look behind me, there are many people here that are not going to stand up and talk to you because they're nervous. But more than half of the people here are in favor of funding, fully funding a 900-student school. It doesn't matter how much we spent in the past. Right now, we're talking about the school and the future of our children and this community. And I've said it before to you, and I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter. These children are more important. And I don't know what your history is, and I don't know what your schooling is, but what I had, I want more for my kids. And you should want more for what you are supporting. These people here want more for their kids than what their parents were able to do for them. And I don't understand how Caroline County can sit here and say that it was okay for me, it's okay for them. Not one parent has ever said that to their child. And if they have, please bring them to me. If you want to stand up and show your appreciation for the full funding, go ahead. Now, that isn't even half the people that were going to come tonight. And understand this. You had a ton of people here before you went on break. And this is what's left. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Keith. Okay.
If you're short.
Oh, wait a second. Can you pull the mic down some?
Yeah.
Now, don't I know you?
Yep.
What did you do this morning?
I did the pledge.
You did the pledge. Okay. So now I'm going to listen to you totally without any interruption. Go right ahead.
I am Destiny Bockert, and I am from Bowling Green Elementary, and I support a fully funded 900-person school with an attached gym and no trailers. And I hope a 100% safe for kids. I really want a new school that I can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. And before you go, I normally don't allow people to clap, but if you go back to the podium, normally it's inappropriate when people clap because sometimes they'll say boo and things like that. But you did such a good job, I'm going to allow people to clap if they would like to. How old are you?
10.
Look out, Jeff. Thank you very much.
If I had to choose again, I would have gone before her.
Never go after kids or ministers. So
that's a tough one to follow. I'm Kevin Bodkin. I'm from the Bowling Green District. And a little bit about my background. I've worked in law enforcement for about 16 years, and part of that time I worked as a crime prevention specialist. My part of this presentation to you tonight, as you can see, we're all here together. We feel pretty animate about what we're asking for. A lot of things changed on Tuesday of April the 20th, 1999. That was the day that Columbine took place. I don't think there's a person here who hasn't heard those words over the last several years. The design of our schools has changed, the way we approach where they're built, and everything from the doors to the electronics to the way people are able to enter and exit buildings. Years ago when I attended, most doors on the school were open. You didn't have to worry about someone entering. Those times are gone. They have changed. November 17th of 2006, this is a day it took place in Caroline County. We lost one of our own. Mr. Gano was shot and killed approximately 200 yards from the backside of the building that we're all here discussing tonight. That's not something that took place out west. That's something that took place in Caroline County. And there's probably many of you who will sit there and say, I remember where I got the word. In our little community that something of this nature had taken place, something that most of us had never seen or had to deal with before. April 16, 2007, Virginia Tech. I think that kind of says it all, Virginia Tech. On that day, 32 students were killed, including 25 more that were wounded in one building. December the 8th of this year, police officer, routine traffic stop, if there is such a thing, shot and killed by someone who has absolutely nothing to do with the traffic stop. Same date, Trooper Hammer, here in Caroline County, stopped with a pedestrian on the interstate, ends up in a gun battle where he's fighting for his life, and he shoots the individual. Luckily, he lives. The reason we bring these things about to you tonight is an indication of what our society has become. It is not what it was when I was in school. I finished in 1991. I know that was a few years ago. But it's not what it was then. The level of danger that's in our society now has completely changed. The reason we're asking for some of these things, that we're supporting the school board, is the fact that some of the things that want to be taken away, such as a gym, allows our students, my daughter, to walk across the parking lot. Currently in Caroline County, within the Bowling Green and the 22427, 22514 district, currently, as of today's date, there are 19 registered sex offenders in close proximity to this school. One is within 0.2 of a mile of this school, and he's deemed to be a violent sex offender, and his crime is against a minor. A minor. Gentlemen, you have an opportunity here to make an impact. I stated to the chairman before this meeting began, you have a huge opportunity to make an impact, not just tonight, but for the next 25 years. This will affect my kids and hopefully my grandkids. Many of these people here, they're longtime residents. There's several in here who are second, third, fourth generation, as many of you are. What we're asking for, we're not trying to compare us to the Ladysmith side with the hustle and bustle that's going to come over there. Bowling Green is a small community that I came to in June of '98, and I haven't left since. I'm married into it now. I'm here for the long haul. But what I'm asking you to do, what we're asking you to do, is make a decision that will affect us for the next 25 to 50 years. Give our children the opportunity to be successful, have an impact, and do it in a safe environment. In closing, there's been a lot of things that have come between the school board and the Board of Supervisors, and I can assure you, most of the parents here, that's not our primary interest. We just want a solution to a very complicated problem. The solution, unfortunately, involves money, and in these economic times, that's not an easy answer. But what's not an easy solution is educating our kids. We ask for you to fully fund a 900-student capacity school and help set a trend in Caroline that will last for 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else?
I have to, first of all, say that the subject that has been discussed prior to my standing on the podium is a very serious one. It's a very hard one to follow. But my name is Catherine Laughlin, and I live in the Port Royal District. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
I thank you for the opportunity to address the board again to ask for a review of the Caroline County Fireworks Ordinance. As you are aware, the neighborhood of where I live is being seriously impacted by the permits that the county has issued, and herewith the major points to please consider. Now, they're concerned about safety. We are concerned about safety also. Big-time fireworks, as pretty as they are dangerous. That my property lies in the area of the county that is zoned rural preservation. That my husband and I purchased this property as a horse farm in 1996. That the county ordinance on fireworks, specifically 50.2, the permits for the display of professional fireworks, those are the 1.3, or in Virginia considered the prohibited fireworks, fails to identify the physical location at which amusement parks, civic or religious groups, and groups of individuals are allowed to use once a permit is given them. The ordinance does not specify. That this county ordinance, the way it reads, is open to interpret that the above identified entities will be given permits to display fireworks anywhere in the county, regardless of zoning. That this county ordinance allows for such entities located in other counties to apply and to receive permits for the display of professional fireworks in Caroline County. That the property that is presently being used for the display of fireworks is a private property also in the Port Royal District. That this property lies in an area of the county that is zoned rural preservation. That this property is in close proximity to my private property. That's the way the properties were divided before I moved into the county. But we don't have several hundred acres around us. There's a cluster of homes, and we have barely a thin sheet of trees sometimes separating the properties. I was recently informed by Chief Garnett of the Caroline County Fire and Rescue that there is no language in the county ordinance that would preclude or deny any permit for the professional use of fireworks, even for every day of the year. I could have fireworks next door every day of the year. There's nothing on the ordinance that says that, no, you can have 1 or 2 or 365. That the county has permitted a company known as Southern Exposure Pyrotechnics with a known address outside of Caroline County and which advertises for professional display pyrotechnics to store 8,600 pounds of pyrotechnics at the same address where all the fireworks displays have been taking place. that the permits issued by the county for the display of professional-grade fireworks and also to store 8,600 pounds of fireworks have created dangerous liabilities to